first transgender video. So I'm coming at everything. So I've done a lot of looking at transgenderism from people who are considering themselves that, and listen to their experience, their reality. And I love that they are so willing to be so open and honest. I love that they think they're born, in the wrong body. Love that. They want to be accepted, just like everybody. Everybody wants to be accepted, but they don't realize, what they don't seem to realize is most people don't feel normal. Most people don't feel accepted. I love my neighborhood. Happy 4th of July. This is nothing compared to when my other neighbors are going to get going, but okay. So people in the transgender community don't seem to realize that most people don't feel accepted. Oh, look at you. Oh, look at you. Hi, little green frog. So it's okay. I wanted to use transgenderism to do a video about this stuff. And I hope that I don't sound like I'm coming down on one side, like for or against, because I'm not. I have a totally different, I feel like I have a completely different perspective on it than most people. Just because, hi, what's your chocolate girl cupcake? Feeling like you were born in the wrong body, I believe, has more to do with past lives. Nope. Than it does what some people think it does. So I've heard people say, oh geez, look at you. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What people think. There's so many ways to go with this transgenderism stuff. That's 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 19, 20, 24. Okay, so everyone's alive. 24. So when I was young, I wished that I was a boy. I was afraid of, I didn't want to ever have to have a baby. All this stuff, I didn't want to be a girl. But thank God I was raised in the 70s, where they sort of ignored children. They sort of ignored us, and said, "Oh, you'll outgrow it or whatever." And I did, and I outgrew it. So I'm really thankful that I was a child of the 70s and not now, because I really love being a mother, and I love my life now. But there was a time when I wished I was a boy, and I cut my hair in a bowl, and I was a pretty good athlete, and I liked when people mistook me for a boy, and I liked gym, like the PE class. Like I said, I'm really psyched that my parents just sort of rolled with it and just you know, there wasn't anything to do. So, and, you know, this transgender stuff, it's not an exact science. And the video I posted, just to get some information out there, just like a general overview information, it said something about transgenderism being a mental disorder. And a mental disorder just means disorder, not in order. And I have ADD, like, holy cow. You can't believe, like, how bad my ADD is. But I think that my ADD is why I'm able to hear, like, dead people and angels, because they are more fun to hear, you know, than people who are alive right next to me. But the main thing I want to talk about, I do want to talk about in this video, the idea that you're born in the wrong body, okay? The feeling that you're born into the wrong body. And that lady said, or some, you know, people say, oh, that's impossible. There's no such thing. You're not born in the wrong body. But when you have, I've gotten the opportunity to look at many of my past lives, and most were men. I was a man in most. You know, the only 2 lifetimes that I know of as a female, one I was a healer, and one I was a doctor. I think that it's very easy to feel like they're born in the wrong body, or to, you know, get confused like that. And I had a client one time, about 14 years old, and anorexic, bulimic, and suicidal. We did a healing where she came in, there was like, she had a fever, and she said, every time I have a fever, I see wrinkles. The wrinkles weren't wrinkles, they were, night ladies, night Dante. The wrinkles weren't wrinkles, the wrinkles were, like, from a dress, okay? And in this lifetime, because I said, let's just go to the root of this. And she was very courageous. She was just tired of feeling this way, and she was extremely courageous, and we went for it. And where it all came from was this lifetime where she was a woman, and she was in charge of a makeshift nursery, and people were bringing babies to her. So she was seeing these babies, and the parents were dying. There was a plague happening, which is where the fever, you know, it was triggered by the fever. And so these babies were like screaming and crying until they died. And then, you know, it's just like constant dying and crying and dying and crying. And there was an ex, so this is going to get graphic. And at some point in that life, she decided she couldn't take it anymore. I mean, we're talking like she was dealing with this she couldn't sleep. There was no sleep to be had. It was constant. She was the only grown-up with all these babies and the crying and the screaming. And at some point, she just couldn't take it anymore. And you can imagine what she did with the axe. She made short work of all the babies and herself. And this young girl in this life was holding that against herself and trying to kill herself slowly. Didn't feel like she deserved to live. So when she made peace with this and she forgave that woman in that life and hugged her and made peace with that lifetime, all the behaviors stopped. The anorexia, bulimia, and suicidal tendencies stopped, and now this kid is amazing. She's a kid to me. But anyway, I had a past life where I was in a war, and I was a coward, and I was hiding behind a rock with my gun because I didn't want to die and I didn't want to shoot anyone, and God, I just hated myself for being such a coward. And then I had another one where I was a guard in the Nazi camp. And I was jealous of the Jewish prisoners because they were going to go to heaven and I knew I was going to hell and I was powerless to stop it. And I was a coward again. And I did a healing on a man who didn't speak a whole lot of English, but I was like, how come he's not taking energy from me? And it turned out he was one of the Jewish prisoners. And it was important because I got to apologize. You know, my soul got to apologize to his soul. And he was living his life as if he were still, you know, in that time. So that was interesting. So these past lives do affect people. And I've had so many. I've experienced so many. It's not worth just going into all of them one at a time. But you get the idea. And like, when people feel like they were born into the wrong body, maybe it's a past life thing. My teachers, the masters who taught me healing and energy and stuff, there was this a guy in the classes that he was such a good little meditator and he was so gentle, and I thought he was like way up in the program. And one of the masters said to him, you are man in this life? And he said, yes. And they said, enjoy being man. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of harsh. And then when I fell into it, was like, I sort of got it. Like, you know, he had been a woman, and I thought he was acting all like spiritual and like great. And he was acting very feminine, but I didn't put that together. So my teachers said, enjoy being man. I realized then that there's really no difference between being a man, being a woman. That I'm going to talk in the next video about the dualistic world and how awesome it is, because I'm not going to do it in this video because it's going to be its own topic, because I just channeled this lady who was raised in a nunnery, and so it's really its own thing, and that it's a cool thing. It's meant to be cool, but the soul is attached to the lesson, not the classroom. So feeling like I don't fit in, whether I'm transgender or gay, you know, LGBTQIA, on and on, no matter what I am, you know, feeling like I don't fit in is part of my soul's setup for me to learn something, you know. So I'm a straight female, but I was a girl airline pilot. So United is where I worked, and they didn't have more than 5% female airline pilots. So you want to talk about not fitting in? I mean, there's many ways. There's 1,000 ways to get to PTSD, but there's also, you know, there's so many ways to feel like you don't fit in. Well, why do you need to fit in anyway? Okay? The trouble with making your feelings the end game and then saying, I can't be happy until everybody accepts me. Well, that's just not going to happen. You know, as a girl airline pilot, if I waited to be happy till everybody accepted me and the career choice I'd made, I'd still be waiting. But instead, I got to fly big, awesome jets for a major airline, you know, all over the world, making six figures. I can't even imagine if I said to myself, I refuse to enjoy this existence until everybody accepts me, because I feel like I don't fit in and it's everybody else's job to change for me. Not fitting in and not being accepted is what helped me empower myself. There were other women in the same boat, not a whole lot, but we had really strong bonds, and we were very clear on who we were, and we weren't going anywhere. And I see that in the transgender community. They're not going anywhere. They're like, we're not going anywhere, you know? And if they felt their feelings to release them and worked on empowering themselves and didn't allow their feelings to be the end game, they would really go very far. Okay, this is the end of this video probably. So I'll just play this for you for a little while. I love ya. Woohoo! I love my neighborhood. Oh my God. I want everyone to love their life as much as me. If you don't worry about fitting in and you just enjoy what you can, enjoy your life. Then you'll have the best possible time. I really love you guys. I love you. Have a great 4th of July. And I'll be back in touch. But just watch making your feelings your end game. Feel your feelings to release them. Use your feelings to empower yourself, to move yourself forward. Feel what you feel. Oh my God. The other people are so psyched. So you feel your feelings to release them. Empower yourself through the work of moving forward. I really love you. This is my neighborhood. I love you guys. I love you guys. I'll talk to you again soon.